in the blank. What?
Kapow.
Yeah, it wouldn't be great. All right, the knockout punch for Golden State came in the third quarter. As we know, this is a team that is plenty capable of the avalanche run. It comes frequently, but they trailed with 2:30 to go in the second quarter. They were down by 18. But now here comes the run. Down 10, down 8. Draymond, Jordan Bell, Draymond. Down 9. Again, who's in the middle of all this? Draymond. Nice little bounce pass there to Clay. Hits the bucket. Clay does most of the heavy lifting here. All of a sudden it's 7. Draymond on the break. Bounce pass down the lane. It's Bell, who had missed a breakaway dunk, but he finishes that one off. Now it's a 1-point game. Draymond patiently waits. Yeah, Loon. Hand clap for Loon. And the lead is now gone. Trailing again by 2. Draymond, Steph, all 3 of these. And that Moda Center was on fire in this first half. We're going to get this one. We got the squad to do it. And then in the blink of an eye, you're down. And now in the fourth quarter, 21-6 run in the third. Curry's on the bench. Quinn Cook, oh, the hezzy! The hezzy! And the left hand, there it is. Collins just gave that look like he knew he got. And the bench explodes. 4-point lead. Cook, quality minutes. Getting the big contributions from their bench. Curry's back in. Ball fake to the corner, layup good. And this building, I would say not oddly quiet. They were quiet because they knew it was coming. They could feel it coming. And when McKinney hits the corner 3, it's a 10-point deficit. Curry, again, Splappa. Greatest shooter we've seen in our life. Back to 11. Curry down the lane. Just enjoying it. There's some conversation earlier today about modest superstars or whatever. Ain't nothing modest about Steph. He enjoys himself.
Look at that look.
Draymond with Doris Burke after the win.
Draymond, your will and your play, almost from the opening tip, seem to both sustain and then trigger a level of play with your group. Why attack so relentlessly from the opening?
All my teammates and coaching staff been telling me, Draymond, get to the hole. They're trying to start playing your passes. Just be aggressive, man. You know, we got guys out there, Steph, Clay, and those guys who, you know, they draw a lot of attention. So it's on me to do my job and come through for those guys.
We can get caught up in the pretty aesthetic that your team brings to the table. How much does the heart and will of this team make you champions?
Oh, that's what it is. You know, obviously with Kevin out, DeMarcus out, we got to bring a different type of fight. You know, it's not just going to be pretty and easy without those 2 guys, but everybody who stepped in the game was ready to go. Even Damian Jones, he started the game and he got 3 quick fouls, but he was locked in and ready to go. And that's what it takes against a scrappy, good group like this that we're playing against.
Yet another 30-point game from Steph Curry, who really got going late when you were putting this game away. What is it about his level right now that's so special?
I mean, he's locked in, you know. There's so many people that was talking, oh, he can't do this, he can't do that. Like he isn't great. Like, he ain't the only unanimous MVP. Like, let's be real about this. So he's locked in, and it's taking our team to a different level.
People should leave the talking to you, maybe.
I do it well.
Thanks.
He does a lot of things well. A triple-double, the 7th of his postseason career, the most in Warriors postseason history, and it's not even close. The rest of the franchise combined doesn't have as many as he now has. They've got 6. Paul Pierce joins me, and the disrespect of the promo. They said the curse was alive, and look at, huh? You want to stun on him now and let everybody know about who you picked?
I don't know what my colleagues are over here talking about because they obviously don't understand what championship DNA means on the road when they always play like their backs against the wall. They're up 2-0. They come into Portland, no problem. These guys want to put this series away. let Kevin Durant get more rest and be healthy for the championship.
I get championship DNA, but I just wonder how much does Portland's lack of familiarity with what's required right now play into this? Because in the third, it felt like the building and the team both just sort of felt like it almost felt like they not let it happen, but felt like it was going to happen. Did you sense that?
Well, I think the Warriors had a lot to do with it.
Right.
You know, there's no situation that they haven't been in. I mean, they impose their will. They know what it takes. You know, they've been down before. They know how to get to another level. When you've been to 4 finals in a row, you know, the Blazers don't understand, you know, the intensity that you have to play at each and every quarter, each and every play. They just look like a team who is mentally broken. I mean, I saw that at the end of the third. I mean, Draymond just kept pushing and willing his team. And, you know, Dame could never really get it going throughout, not only today, but throughout the whole series. And, you know, this series is pretty much over.
Well, yeah,
I don't see this going back to Golden State.
Yeah, no one's ever come back from this hole. You mentioned Dame, and I mean, at one point it's more turnovers than field goals in this series, and he is a great in this league. We know that. We know what he's capable of. Yes. What explains his lack of production thus far in this series to you?
Well, it's the Warriors. I mean, they're throwing different defenses at him. Sometimes they switch. Sometimes they trap. And he hasn't figured it out. You know, one of the things is they have to play faster. He has to maybe get out on the break, maybe more dribble handoffs. But with him at the top of the half court, they're just trapping him in the pick and roll. They're just trapping him, and he hasn't been able to figure it out. You know, that's the thing about, you know, your point guard. And when you have your point guard who's your leading scorer, and they take that away, what else can he bring to the game? You know, it's tough. It's tough for him right now. And so I can see this continuing. He doesn't have an answer for him. And, you know, like I said, the Warriors should go on and sweep this series.
Paul, appreciate the time, man. Thank you.
All right.
More on the way. Time to do your research on this Warriors win. And obviously we focus on that third quarter. They come back from down double digits in the halftime for the last 2 games in a row. It's the third time they've done that in postseason history. The 75 and 2018 Warriors also did it. While the Blazers have combined to score 37 in the third of the last 2 combined, Steph and Klay have combined to score 41 of their own, all told in this series. The Warriors have outscored the Blazers 91-63 in that critical 12 minutes of the third. And it wasn't just scoring. Draymond, an all-around monster game. Only took 3 quarters for him to record that 7th triple-double we just told you about. It's the 3rd time Green's recorded a triple-double through 3 quarters in his playoff career. That's sensational. And you just heard him with Doris Burke, who is kind enough to join us now. And Doris, you spoke to that man. He described it to you, what he provides. As you watch what he's providing, what's the sense of his value in terms of how you can best describe it on a night like tonight?
You know, I had a San Antonio game earlier this year with Golden State, and Greg Popovich was absolutely adamant, Scott, that Draymond was the key on both ends of the floor, and he said people don't understand what I'm talking about and the level to which I'm speaking of.
Right.
And it's, you know, how about the point at which Jordan Bell misses the dunk and he goes right to him? Like, that's great leadership because that kid's young. He's just gotten himself back in the rotation, and that little bit of a spark from Draymond changes things. So it was his will and his game that I thought sustained him when they didn't have great energy and then triggered this great run in the third period. Draymond is at the top of his game. I've never seen him play better.
That's not a good building. That's a great building. And the fuse was lit. They got an 18-point lead, but then in the blink of an eye, it's down to 13, and then all of a sudden, here comes the avalanche in the third. Was there a sense, Paul Pierce used the word broken, was there a sense that you felt like the will of that Blazer team was broken?
Listen, the bottom line is we're not seeing the best version of Damian Lillard, and this team takes its cues from that man. He is the heart and soul, and because they have sent so much attention to him, and he has not been able to, I think, absorb it physically and mentally, it's taken an incredible toll, and he is not himself, and this team feels every bit of that, Scott. I would say yes, the answer to that is it feels like their spirit is certainly depleted, if not completely diminished.
And there's part of this that there are steps that are made in the progression of teams. Milwaukee might buck that trend over in the East, but is there part of Portland when the end comes, and it seems to be at the door here, that there could be satisfaction in the steps that have been made? I'm not saying tonight, because obviously it's disappointing, but a big picture view of this Portland team has to be positive, is it not?
I think so. Obviously, you've made great strides advancing through the first 2 rounds, but I think there are key positions where you've got to elevate the talent level, right? Because if Damian Lillard's going to see this much attention, then you're going to have some deep corner shooters. I love Aminu on the defensive end, same with Mo Harkless, but when people take away Dame, as they do in the playoffs, you've got to have that second level. Listen, when Draymond Green gets in the middle of the floor and they're playing 3-on-2 or 2-on-1, they're getting buckets, oftentimes layups. They've got to figure it out on the Portland side. And
they're playing a team that has the remarkable luxury of no Boogie, no KD, and they're still this good. When we watch nights like tonight, we're just reminded of the greatness and the excellence that they've got in reserve. Doris, thanks so much for the time. We look forward to talking again, all right?
Thanks, Scott.
All right. We appreciate Doris stopping by. And live at the podium, Steve Kerr with his thoughts on tonight's comeback victory.
Well, they've got a lot of experience, and we've played a lot of big games, and we've been down in many games, by pretty big margins. So our guys know that we have an excellent defensive team, and we got some explosive scorers. So, 13 points could be, 2-3 minutes. That's how we look at it. And but it all started with our second half defense. We held them to 33 points, and then we just got amazing contributions off the bench. Every single guy came in and made an impact. I could go down the list: Jordan Bell, Quinn Cook, Alfonso McKinney. When Andre went down, played huge minutes, was a plus 24 tonight. We needed Jordan's minutes big time. Jonas hit a big shot for us in the fourth quarter. And then I don't even know what to say about Draymond. I mean, he was like a wrecking ball out there. He was just destroying everything in his path. The pace that he was generating was incredible, and it just seemed like he never got tired.
Kerry Eggers, Portland Tribune. Steve, second half, was it just a matter of playing better, or did you make some adjustments? What was the difference?
Mainly just playing better. It's such a long game. That's the thing you learn. When you've been in the NBA for a while, there's time for so many swings in the game itself, and especially these days. So many 3-point shots taken, a lot of possessions, and so. Our guys know that. They've been through it, and so when we were down, we knew we could get back in it. And again, the defense is what allowed us to do that.
John Dickinson, 95.7 The Game in San Francisco. Steve, you mentioned Draymond, but just the relentless pressure of both ends. I mean, he was getting the ball and just pushing it. Do you feel that constant push has worn the Blazers down maybe as the series has gone on?
Well, I don't know about that, but it set a tone for tonight's game. He was doing it in the first half, which allowed us to kind of hang around when we weren't playing well. And then he did it throughout the second half. And, when he's coming downhill like that, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense in the paint at the rim. And then you've got shooters on the perimeter, and he's a great passer. And so he's got a lot of options. And what I liked tonight was, he only had 2 turnovers. With all the offensive possessions, all the pushing in transition, he made great decisions all night. So it's one of the best games I've ever seen Draymond play.
Steve, Matt Schneiman, Barrier News Group. What went into the decision to start Damian, and after he picked up a couple of quick fouls?
All right, we will pivot into this statistic that speaks to the dominance of this Warriors team. They've now won a road game in 22 consecutive playoff series, extending their own NBA record. In the last 5 postseasons, which encompass the Steve Kerr era, I always make that point because he laughed at the idea that he had an era, and he does. Warriors are 22-12 in road games during the Western Conference playoffs. Not only are they the only team with a winning record, but their record far exceeds the next closest team. When we continue, much more on a game they trailed by 18 and won going away. Mike Breen used the term championship medal. It certainly was evident.